Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is TechnicallyTee, and today I'm bringing you a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the new OnePlus 6. Now, if you are deciding between both of these phones, this is a quick video that should help you out compare which one is better in what category. So you know, in my lineup of phones, these are my two top dogs right now. The iPhone 10 has been a little bit on the back burner, still my daily driver, but has been a little bit on the back burner because these two devices I really like. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Comparison between the S9 Plus and the OnePlus 6. This should help you out if you are deciding between both of these devices. So let's go ahead and first start off with your design quality of both phones. Now, if someone actually gave me both of these phones out in public, not knowing which one was more expensive, actually, if you didn't know about cell phones, it would probably be really hard to distinguish between both of these, which one had the better build quality. They're both made out of your all glass design, so you know you're going to have glass on the back, even though this one is a silk white. You know, OnePlus has their own method of making this matte or the silk or whatever it is. It is indeed glass, and both of these are glass devices. Both of them are made very good. They're both made out of very premium material. Your buttons, the cuts, everything about this design quality on both the OnePlus 6 and the S9 Plus is A1. So I really can't give the nod over which one is better, because I feel like this category is an actual tie because both are built very well. If I had to give a slight nudge, I probably would give a slight nudge to the S9 Plus, and that may be simply because it's more heavier than the OnePlus 6, therefore it may feel, you know, a tad bit more durable. On the design aspect, I'm probably going to have to give this a tie because both the S9 Plus and the OnePlus 6 has very good design and build quality. Next, let's talk about your screen quality. Now, I do have the same wallpaper on these screens, even though they may not look alike. They both are the exact same wallpaper. I think one may be cropped a little closer than the other, and that may be due to screen resolutions. But right before a video, I did make sure that both of these do have the same wallpaper, and both the brightness is turned up to 100%. So which one do I feel has the best screen quality? So you know, over here on the S9 Plus, we are rocking that 2960 by 1440p display, and over here with the OnePlus 6, you are rocking that 1080 by 2280. So basically, what's that saying? You have a 1080p screen on your right with the OnePlus, and you have a Quad HD on your left with the S9 Plus. Which one is better? Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the OnePlus 6, for it being a 1080p display, this display is very good. For a long time, I always stated that I felt the iPhones, when they had the, the 8 Plus and the 7 Plus were their main top dog phone with that 1080p screen, I always felt like they had the best panel. But after using this OnePlus 6, I might retract that statement a little bit, because I'm really liking the screen of the OnePlus 6 and the quality coming out of this 1080p screen. All your colors seem very accurate. It's not really blown out. It's not oversaturated. The contrast is very nice. So it's a very nice overall screen when talking about the OnePlus 6 in that 1080p. Moving over to the S9 Plus. Like I said, you know, this is rocking that Quad HD screen. Gets very bright. Everything is super crisp. And if you've seen my full review of the S9 Plus, I do say that this is the best display on a smartphone, period. You already know who basically wins this category. Now, I do like the colors and the temperature of the OnePlus 6 because it's a little more realistic. On certain applications, it's not really blown out. The colors aren't too blown out or anything like that. So I'm not sure if it'll load up, but everything, as you can see, both looks very good. They're both on full brightness, as you can see here, and they kind of look the same. I don't think one is warmer or anything than the other. I think they have, fairly similar displays, but I probably would have to give the nod to this S9 Plus because looking at text, browsing around in apps, you can tell that it does have a higher resolution when it comes to the screen quality. Now, I'm not taking anything from the OnePlus 6. This is probably one of the best 1080p panels that you can get, but I still have to give the nod to the S9 Plus when we are talking about overall screen quality. Next up, let's talk a little bit about the operating systems that both of these devices are running. So we head over here to the About. Let's go to your software information, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same on the OnePlus 6. On the left side, you see that this is running, your Samsung experience, Android 8.0. This one is running the Oxygen OS 5.1.8. Now, which one do I prefer the best? Starting off with the S9 Plus. This Samsung experience on the S9 Plus is probably one of the best that you're ever going to see when talking about a Samsung device. Over the years, the Samsung experience used to be a little laggy. Over time, it definitely will lag out. I don't care what anybody says. The first phone that kind of stopped the whole lagging out thing was probably the Note 8, but the S9 Plus came through and solidified, Android's skin, which is Samsung experience, over Android. Samsung skin over Android, which is Samsung experience. Very solid device. Haven't had any hiccups or anything since day one. This device is super smooth, super fluent. Nothing goes on when it doesn't slow down, anything like that. Let me turn both of these on airplane mode. Nothing slow downs, not at all. They hit it out the park when talking about Samsung experience. Moving over to the OnePlus 6, and we're talking about Oxygen OS. This is probably one of my favorite skins over on top of Android because it really reminds me of stock Android. And I know a lot of people say I might be biased because I run iPhones, and it reminds me of an iPhone stock basic experience, and that may be true. But I really enjoy this skin over Android. It's super smooth. Now, is it as smooth as the S9 Plus? It actually runs a little bit smoother than the S9 Plus, and that's probably due to OnePlus 6 and Oxygen OS is a very light software. When I mean by light means the S9 Plus has tons of features. Now, whether you use them or not, that's for you to decide, but it has tons of features. What I think most people really don't use, but the OnePlus 6 doesn't have all those bells and whistles. It's giving you a smooth software experience with no lag, super fluent. Everything is just super fast. And this is one of the devices for the first time that I didn't really mess with the window transitions and everything right away. I think right now I have everything set to 0.5 on both devices. But initially I didn't rush and change the transition speed because this is really, when they say the speed you need, this is probably one of the fastest devices that I have personally owned in a very long time. So I have to give this nod to the OnePlus 6 when we're talking about software. Yes, the S9 Plus is packed with features, but as you guys know, half of those features we don't even use, but they're there. So if you use them, they are there. But for a person who doesn't really prefer all of those features, you just want a lightweight, very fast, very fluent OS, one that gets updates, which we know Samsung devices don't see a bunch of updates. I have to give the nod to Oxygen OS and the OnePlus 6 in that category. Next, let's talk a little bit about the cameras. Now, I haven't really went out and took a lot of pictures with the OnePlus 6. I've been running the S9 Plus for a very long time, so you already know I take plenty of pictures when it comes to the S9 Plus. So we're going to touch about cameras very quickly. The S9 Plus is running two 12 megapixels. As you see, it is a dual camera, and the OnePlus 6 is also a dual camera, one being 16 megapixels and the other one being 20 megapixels. Now, from my experience, just snapping a few pictures, I probably would have to give the camera nod to the S9 Plus, especially when we are talking about low light. Now, the OnePlus 6 is definitely not a slow leak when it comes to the camera. It takes very good pictures, but I feel like it's just not as sharp as your pictures from your main flagships. So we're talking about the Google Pixel 2 XL. We're talking about the iPhone 10, 8 Plus, S9 Plus, different phones like that that really cost that flagship point. I feel like the pics are a little bit more sharper when it comes to the S9 Plus and this camera. But if you guys want to see a camera comparison between some of these devices and the iPhone 10, let me know down below. I'm really thinking about doing a blind camera test because I've really been interested in one of those videos, and I want to see what you guys think and see if you can figure out what smartphone actually took the picture. So for the camera category, I have to give the nod to the S9 Plus. Now, this does have a very good camera. They actually, updated to where the front facing takes portrait. So both takes very good portrait mode, but I feel like the OnePlus 6 portrait mode needs a little bit of work. And Samsung's is not the best either. Because the king of portrait mode, I always will say, in what I have is the iPhone 10. I really enjoyed their portrait modes. They really look very good when we're talking about pictures. But talking about the two, they're both not great, but I think I would have to give the nod to the S9 Plus, talking about the camera category. Next, let's talk about front-facing speakers. Well, one device has front-facing speakers. Now, This is a big category to me because I consume a lot of media on my smartphones. I probably watch YouTube, watch a lot of my favorite YouTubers and everything like that more on my phone than I actually do my MacBook or my TV. I look at YouTube a bunch on my devices, so I prefer a good speaker experience. So you probably already know who wins this category, and of course it is the S9 Plus because they do have those dual stereo speakers, and the OnePlus 6 does have a single mono speaker. The single mono speaker is not horrible. When the phone first came out, it wasn't good at all, but a few updates rolled out and the speaker got a lot better, and it's decent quality when you are talking about a single firing speaker. But I still prefer that stereo, and the dual speakers coming out the S9 Plus sound is that much louder. It's easy to cover up the volume when you're actually looking at music or looking at videos like this in landscape. You will cover that thing up in a minute, but on running this, you don't tend to cover that up because you do get your speaker right there, and you might muffle one of these down here, but you still get a very front-facing experience with that one speaker right there. So I have to probably give the speaker nod to the S9 Plus, and everybody knew that coming simply because it does have those dual stereo speakers. Next, let's take a look at the battery life. Now, for the battery life, the S9 Plus is rocking a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, and the OnePlus 6 is rocking a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. Now, with this being said, it does have the bigger battery, but it pushes more pixels with that Quad HD display. This has the smaller battery, but it doesn't have to push that many pixels because it's only a 1080p screen. So which one am I getting the best battery life out of? For me, I feel like I'm getting better battery life with the OnePlus 6. Now, battery life usage will vary. Everybody uses their phones differently. I use my phone hardcore. I don't know about you guys, but I'm constantly getting at least 5.5 hours, almost 6 hours of screen on time with the OnePlus 6. And the S9 Plus, I'm not sure the best I've got, but I know it has not reached 6 hours of screen on time like the OnePlus 6. And that's basically because you are pushing a 1080p panel more so than you're pushing a Quad HD. You have all those features, everything like that. This is going to be more resource hungry, so I'm not expecting the S9 Plus to last as long as the OnePlus 6. But from my experience, I have to give the battery nod to the OnePlus 6 because I'm getting very good battery life, and it's very hard for me to kill this device. Last but not least, let's talk about the price, and we're going to wrap this video up with the S9 Plus fully unlocked from Samsung. Device will run you $839 plus tax, so you already know that the S9 Plus is in that flagship price range. The OnePlus 6 on unlocked, which is the only way you can basically buy it from OnePlus 6's website, is $600 roughly. This model that I have here came out to $588, and that's with tax. You can get the beefed up version with the 256 gigs, but it's still going to be under this. It probably run you $680 or something like that with tax. When we're talking about the price point and we're finalizing up all the points that we have for this video, are you truly getting more for your price with the S9 Plus, or can you actually spend less and get the same experience with the OnePlus 6? And to me, you're not getting a ton. You kind of are, but you're not getting light worlds difference when we're talking about both phones. Both phones are very solid cameras, very good operating systems, very similar almost battery life. One may vary over the other one. Screen quality is good on both, but is that extra $200 to $300 worth it on the S9 Plus? And I'll have to say, even though it sounds as cliche as it is, and which one would I choose over both devices? I probably would have to go with the S9 Plus. But hear me out very quickly. I'm not saying that just because it's more expensive that it actually wins the battle, it's a better phone. No, not at all. For my personal issues, and these are the two things that really is a deal breaker when it comes to this phone compared to the OnePlus 6. Like I told you guys, I consume a lot of media. Front-facing speakers is #1 to me almost when it comes to a smartphone. I love good sounding speakers. The S9 Plus has that. I can consume a lot of media and be very comfortable doing so on the S9 Plus. Another thing is no wireless charging. Now, I know these are two cliche things that everybody's saying about the OnePlus 6, but it's something that has to be stated because I use wireless charging everywhere. I have one on my work desk. I have one in my work office. at work, have one in my bedroom, I have one in my living room. I literally pop my devices down wherever I go. I can't tell you the last time I actually plugged in my S9 Plus. I have been wirelessly charging this thing for a very long time, and it's small luxuries like that that makes me choose the S9 Plus over the OnePlus 6. Now, I'm not really going to mention any of the water resistant because I'm not having my devices around water. I don't care how waterproof they are. I try to keep my devices away from water, so I'm not actually comparing the water resistance and everything like that. Phone to phone, which one I prefer, which one would I pick up for the day, or if I had to use one of these devices for the rest of my life, I would definitely choose the S9 Plus. Samsung has knocked it out the park with this device. It is a very complete device, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future when you're talking about the Note 8 or the S10, what they actually do to make improvements on the S9 Plus, because it is a very, very excellent phone. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the loser, and I can't really say loser. I'm not taking anything away from the OnePlus 6. The OnePlus 6 is an excellent phone. I absolutely love it. There's not many things that I don't like about it, but you have to mention one thing. This is a flagship price, so you're almost paying $1,000 for this phone. This phone is $600. For $600, this phone is an absolute win. If you say, hey, you know, I'm looking for a phone, I don't really have the money to spend on the S9 Plus, go pick up the OnePlus 6. It is a super solid device. If you never owned the S9 Plus, or you didn't know anything about these flagships, this will be a great experience for you. And I'm not taking anything away from the OnePlus 6. It's an absolute great phone, but in comparison between the two, the S9 Plus has those key features that notches it just above the OnePlus 6. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, guys. I hope this may have been the deciding factor for a few of you if you're considering buying one of these two devices. Sorry the video had to be so long. I didn't want it to take this long, but I really wanted to get into my thoughts on both of these devices because both of these are my daily drivers, and I know a ton of you in the comment section asked me which one do I prefer better. So there it is, guys. I like the S9 Plus a little bit over the OnePlus 6, but the OnePlus 6 still is an excellent device. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions down in the comment section below. I really like to hear a few of you guys' arguments on why you think one device is better than the other. But like I said, smash that like button if you like this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, later.